everything makes a good investment. Welcome to my channel. Today, I want to talk about a number that carries more weight than most people realize: $20,000. It might not sound like a fortune compared to the millions people dream about investment, but this number is a key milestone both psychologically and financially, and here's why. The first thing is the barrier it breaks. When you're starting out, the first few hundred or even a couple thousand in your account doesn't feel life-changing. It still feels fragile, like it could disappear overnight. But when you reach 20,000, that changes. Suddenly, it's not just some savings. It feels substantial, something that can't be wiped out with a single bad month. That shift in perception is powerful because it makes you realize you're capable of building real wealth. Second, 20,000 represents security. For most people, it's enough to cover several months of living expenses, medical emergencies, or job loss without going into debt. That's freedom from living paycheck to paycheck. Knowing you have that buffer gives you peace of mind. Investment. And that peace of mind changes how you live, how you make decisions, and how you take risks. It's not about the money itself. It's about the stability it buys you. Third, this is the point where investing starts to feel real. If you put a few $100s into the stock market, the returns are barely noticeable. But with 20,000, even a modest return starts to make a difference. A 7% annual gain means waters 400 in a year without lifting a finger. That's when compounding becomes visible. You're no longer just saving, you're building momentum that accelerates over time. Finally, investment. 20,000 is proof of discipline. It shows you've managed to save, resist temptation, and stick to a plan long enough to get here. And that discipline is the exact same skill that will take you from 20,000 to 50, 100, and beyond. It's the momentum shift. The point where you stop questioning whether building wealth is possible and start asking yourself how far you can take it. Investment. That's why I believe $20,000 isn't just another number. It's a turning point. It's where financial confidence begins, where your money starts working for you, and where the vision of long-term wealth becomes real. When you finally see $20,000 sitting in your account, it does something that's hard to explain until you've lived it. Up until that point, saving feels fragile. 1,000 here, maybe 2,000 there. It's good, but it still feels like the kind of money that could vanish with one unexpected car repair, one medical bill, or one job setback. Good investment. It's like stacking up sand on the beach. You put effort into it, but you're not sure if the next wave will just wash it all away. But at 20,000, the weight of the number itself changes everything. It's no longer a small safety net. It's a foundation, and that makes all the difference. There's a psychological barrier that comes with money. For most people, the first 10,000 feels almost impossible. It's slow, it requires sacrifice, and it tests your patience. But once you cross that line and keep pushing until you double it, the experience shifts. You start realizing that you're not just saving, you're actually building. You've proven to yourself that discipline, no matter how small the contributions, can turn into something significant. And that proof in investment, that tangible evidence staring back at you on a bank statement, is a turning point in how you see money. It changes how you carry yourself. When you're sitting at 500 or 1,000 in savings, investment, every purchase feels heavy. Every setback feels crushing. But with 20,000, you begin to breathe differently. You know that if something goes wrong, you're not in immediate danger. That sense of control over your finances translates into confidence in every other area of life. It's like you've built your first wall of defense against chaos. It makes a good investment. And now the world doesn't feel quite as unpredictable. There's also something about the roundness of the number that makes it special. 20,000 isn't just an abstract figure. It's a benchmark investment. It's where people stop seeing their savings as temporary and start seeing them as real wealth. It's where money stops being just survival and starts feeling like progress. And that shift isn't just about numbers on a screen. It's about belief. Belief that you can keep going, belief that the next milestone is within reach, investment, and belief that wealth isn't just for other people. That's the power of breaking the $20,000 barrier. It transforms savings from something fragile into something permanent. And once you feel that shift, there's no going back. When you reach $20,000, the biggest benefit isn't just the number itself. It's the security it represents. For most people, money problems aren't about not having millions. They're about the constant fear of being blindsided by an unexpected expense. A flat tire, a broken appliance, Investment, a sudden medical bill. Those are the things that derail progress. At smaller amounts of savings, those setbacks can completely wipe you out. But when you have 20,000 set aside, those same problems shrink. As good investment. They don't disappear, but they no longer threaten to throw your entire life into chaos. That's when money starts working as a shield instead of just a number you're chasing. Investment. It's a powerful feeling to know that if you lost your job tomorrow, you could cover months of living expenses without panicking. Makes a good investment. That cushion gives you the freedom to make decisions with a clear head instead of out of desperation. You can take a little more time finding the right opportunity instead of jumping into the first thing that comes along. Investment. You can handle emergencies without going into debt or putting everything on a credit card with sky-high interest. That peace of mind is what makes 20,000 such a turning point. It shifts you from living in constant reaction mode to being proactive with your future. This level of savings also reduces stress in ways you don't expect. Little arguments about money start to fade because you're not worried about every single dollar. You stop obsessing over the what ifs because you know you're covered. That confidence spills over into every part of life. You carry yourself differently at work, with family, even in everyday conversations, because deep down you know you're not hanging by a thread anymore. Security brings stability, and stability gives you the space to think long term instead of just surviving from week to week. And here's the truth. Investment. Once you've experienced that kind of financial breathing room, you don't want to go back. That feeling of security becomes addictive, but in the best way possible. It motivates you to protect it, to grow it, to never let yourself slip into the kind of vulnerability you worked so hard to escape. $20,000 isn't about luxury. It's about freedom from fear, and that freedom changes everything. Makes a good investment. Once you've built up $20,000, that's the point where investing stops feeling like a guessing game and starts to feel real. With a few $100s in the market, the growth is so small it's easy to ignore. It doesn't move the needle. Even with a few thousand, the returns are modest enough that they don't feel life-changing. But once you reach 20,000, the numbers begin to mean something. A simple average return of 7% suddenly equals $1,400 in a single year, and you didn't have to clock in extra hours or sacrifice more time to earn it. That's when you realize the power of money working for you instead of the other way around. What makes this milestone so important is that it's enough to show you the impact of compounding in a way that motivates you to keep going. At first, it seems slow. In watching your account grow by a few dollars or a few cents doesn't spark excitement. But with 20,000, the growth is finally visible. It's enough to pay for rent, cover a month of expenses, or fund a vacation. Investment, all without touching the principal. That's when the concept of compounding shifts from something you've read about to something you've actually experienced. It also opens the door to opportunities you didn't have before. With this amount of capital, you can diversify, spread it across stocks, index funds, bonds, investment, or even start thinking about real estate or other investments. It's no longer just about dipping your toes in the water. It's about positioning yourself for growth. The more you see the returns accumulate, the more confidence you gain in your strategy, and the more intentional you become with every financial decision. What's even more powerful is how this changes your mindset. Investment. 20,000 invested is enough to make you start thinking in terms of percentages instead of just dollars. Instead of asking, how much money can I put away this month? You start asking, what kind of return can I generate on what I already have? That mental shift is the start of building wealth. It's when you begin to understand that money isn't just saved, it's leverage. And once you've seen the results firsthand, it's impossible to ignore. That's the moment where investing stops being theory and becomes proof. And that proof pushes you to dream even bigger. Investment. Hitting 20,000 is more than just about having money in the bank. It's about what it represents moving forward. It's the proof that your habits work, that the discipline you've built is real. Investment, and that you can trust yourself to keep pushing. The first few thousand might have felt slow, frustrating, even doubtful at times. But by the time you see 20,000, investment, you've already shown that consistency compounds, and that consistency becomes the foundation for something much bigger. This milestone is where momentum starts to take over. Think about it. Once you've saved this much, the road to 50,000 doesn't feel impossible anymore. You've already learned how to say no to unnecessary expenses, how to prioritize saving and investing, and how to keep going when progress feels invisible. Those skills don't go away. They carry you into every new stage of growth. The habits that got you here are the same ones that will take you to the next level. And the difference now is that you have tangible proof that they work. It also changes your vision for the future. When you had $1,000 saved, dreaming about 100,000 felt like fantasy. But now, good investment, you're 20% of the way there. Suddenly, it feels achievable. You begin to realize that wealth isn't built overnight, but step by step. And this is one of the first big steps. It's like climbing a mountain. At the bottom, the peak looks impossible, but as you climb, you start to see the path more clearly. 20,000 is that point where the view starts to open up, a good investment, and the climb doesn't feel as overwhelming. What's even more important is how it strengthens your confidence. Every dollar saved up to this point has built not just your net worth, but your belief in yourself. Investment. And that belief is critical because wealth is as much about mindset as it is about money. Once you trust yourself to manage 20,000 responsibly, you start to see yourself as the kind of person who can manage 50, 100, or even more. That shift in identity is what fuels the drive to keep going, to keep pushing past every milestone. Makes a good investment. That's why 20,000 isn't the finish line. It's the momentum that propels you toward everything that comes next.